Hey guys. Okay, so when it comes to our weekly videos, we're normally covering off FAQs or frequently asked questions. This week's video is going to be a little bit different, let's just say. It's going to be, and I hate using this term because it comes across really wankerish and over the top and dramatic, and it just ain't that. But I can't think of any other way to describe it, so I'm just going to roll with it. It's a PSA, a public service announcement. So what do I want to say? Well, quite simply, if you have any clients that are looking to purchase a property, please, I say it one more time, please remind them or prompt them to ask for copies of all relevant approvals. And when I say relevant approvals, I'm talking about town planning approvals, building approvals, crossover permits, NAL permits, anything to do with council. They need to get their hands on that stuff, because I've seen so many situations recently where clients haven't had access to that information and it's caused a world of problems. Now, people typically, you go, oh, it's just a dodgy little carport, or it's just a dodgy door on a carport. Like, it's nothing big, who cares? In the last week, I've literally seen 2 situations where entire houses have not been approved. And we're not talking dodgy houses out in the middle of nowhere. We're talking about 2 prime suburbs in Brisbane with 2 high-end houses. Like, I just don't know how this happens. It's ridiculous. It blows my mind. To make it even worse, one of the situations seems, from the information we've got access to so far, seems to have been built after council refused the town planning application. Like, what the? It's one of those things where I just sat there and went, how does this actually happen? So yeah, in one of the situations, the client was looking to purchase the property, so happy days, she could just evacuate and walk away, no damage done. In the other situation, unfortunately, the client had purchased the property a year or so ago, so he can't quite as easily walk away. Good thing for him, from what we found out so far, it does look like a building approval was started, so we're desperately hoping that they got most of the way through and therefore the certificate's there and things we can basically piggyback off. And we can just tie it off. The cold hard truth, the reality is, if you didn't tie off an approval, if you didn't finalise it, most of the time it's because something dodgy happened, like the certifier wasn't going to sign off on it and the person didn't want to pay the money to fix it and get it over the line, etc. So yeah, I'm a bit worried there because I'm like, oh, this could be painful. But yeah, worst case scenario, even worse than that, is probably that they started the process, it just got no certificates or anything. Like, that is going to be a mess to deal with. So yeah, in that situation, we've got to go find a certifier who's willing to do retrospective approval, and they are rare as hen's teeth, I'm telling you. And I can totally understand why. Why would you want to get involved in dodgy work? Why would you want to get involved in stuff that you can't necessarily see like you would normally? So yeah, you've got to find one of those certifiers that are rare as hen's teeth. You probably got to pay them a fortune to go through the process and to take the risk on board and all of that, do the extra work. Then you got to pay for like concrete x-ray machines and all that fancy stuff so they can see what's going on in the house. Like, it's going to be a costly process. It's not going to be fun. So yeah, please get your hands on those approvals. Now, the other thing I wanted to say is everyone always comes back to me and goes, oh, but the real estate agent would disclose that stuff, right? Yeah. Or the conveyancer, they'll do all those searches, right? Yeah. No, it doesn't work that way. Let's be honest, real estate agents, they don't know to look for this stuff. And even if they did, why would they go digging for it? They're representing the seller, not the buyer. So it's not in their interest to go and find this sort of information and to disclose it to you. Like, it's common sense. And when it comes to the conveyancer, they typically only do standard searches. I am talking typically here, only do standard searches, and you have to specifically request non-standard searches like this. This is not a standard search. So you can't rely on other people to do the work for you. You've got to ask for it. And what I'm trying to get across in this video, or the point I'm trying to make, is it can blow up in a big way, like entire high-end house big way. And it's an extremely painful process if you find out later that there's a problem, if you can't get your hands on the approval, and if you have to go back and try and get retrospective approval. Yeah, don't want to be in those shoes. Anyway, that covers off everything I want to talk about today. As I always say, until next time, thanks for watching.
For all you red tape lovers out there, I have one thing to say. Well, no, actually, I've got 3. Number 1, the advice provided in these videos is general in nature. It's not site-specific. You would be a silly Billy to go and make financial decisions based on this advice without first checking with the town planner. Don't be a silly Billy. Number 2, Brisbane town planning is in no way linked to Brisbane City Council. The views expressed in these videos are my own, not council's. So if you don't like them, blame me, not council. Number 3, what was my number 3? Oh yeah, the views expressed in these videos are accurate at the time of recording. If you're watching this video back 10 years from now, the views may not be so accurate. That's all.